Thank you very much for joining us here on the Red and Blue Review as we look ahead to this big weekend of basketball in the SEC and the Big East. The Cards hitting the road to UConn, the Cats at home against Georgia. And to get ready to talk about who are the key players, let's go behind enemy lines. Well, Darryl, this is a retread game for the University of Kentucky. The star player about Georgia, we already know, is Trey Tompkins.
No doubt about it. This guy is outstanding. Enjoy him when he comes to Rupp Arena this weekend because he's going to be in the NBA very, very soon. The best player on what's turned out to be a really good team.
And the star player for Louisville's opponent this year, the University of Connecticut, Darryl already was introduced to at Hawaii. It's Kemba Walker, Howie.
This kid is tremendous. He's fantastic on the cover of Sports Illustrated there, that was actually a couple years ago, I believe. But Kemba Walker has kind of grown into the point guard that I think everybody thought he could be coming out of Rice High School. He was the heir after Edgar Sosa, and everybody was like, yeah, Edgar Sosa's good, but wait till you see the next kid, and that's what Kemba Walker has become. He's really, really good.
Yeah, we were out, and Maui had the privilege of seeing his coming out party, for lack of a better word. Michigan State couldn't handle him. Kentucky had absolutely no answer for the kid. It was one of those magical weekends for him where anything he touched was pure gold, and he's done a tremendous job of keeping it going throughout the season. It wasn't just one weekend in Maui where he blew up and we never heard from him again.
Howie, tell me, where did Kemba Walker come from? Because I don't remember all the hype being about him last year, because this year he's being considered one of the top 4 or 5 candidates for the Player of the Year award.
He came on late last season. He started getting better and better and better, dropped nearly 30 points against Louisville. I believe that was late February, and it kind of became their leading scorer. And then I think during the summer, he was their leading scorer all the way through. They've lost a couple of different options scoring-wise, and so he's kind of taken more of that load. And I think the more assertive he is, the better for UConn, because he's proven to be almost unstoppable this year.
The key number to watch as we crunch some numbers in the Kentucky-Georgia game is Dustin Ware and the number 4.1. DB, explain that to us.
4.1 is the assist to turnover ratio. He's got 4.1 average more assists than turnovers on the season. Next closest in the league is only 2 point something. And that's everybody else. So he is off the charts, playing well. Another surprise player to why Georgia is so good and, quite frankly, so dangerous this weekend.
Rick Pitino loves good defense. What coach doesn't? And I guarantee you, Howie, he's going to see good defense this weekend, but it's going to be coming from the other side of the court. The numbers are impressive for the field goal shooting percentage defense of UConn, 38.3.
Isn't that remarkable? 38.3. They block a lot of shots, they get a lot of rebounds, and they don't give you a lot of good shots either. If you miss that first shot, you're probably not getting another shot. So I think what Louisville's got to do is pass the ball around effectively. The more they pass the ball, the better they get. And if you get an open shot, you've got to take it. I know Preston Knowles likes to dribble into coverage and then throw up a shot once he's got a hand in his face. He needs to take that open shot. I think they need to get Kyle Keurig going early, try to get him in Kyle's corner and get him to hit a couple threes.
The chest bump moment this year for the University of Georgia is the rematch. And that was a few weeks ago when Kentucky went down to Georgia and opened SEC play by losing on the road in Athens. The Dogs led it by 11 at the half, and they closed the game hitting 11 of 12 free throws. UK shot only 38%. And DeAndre Liggins told me that Kentucky got beat at Georgia because the Cats played passively while Georgia played with passion.
It was all of us not being aggressive. They took it to us, we take it to them, and they wanted them more than us.
Yeah, that game had so many ramifications both directions. You remember that was UK's first SEC road trip, and Coach Cal tried to warn the true freshmen, you don't know what you're stepping into. They didn't pay attention. They found out the hard way. And from Georgia's perspective, that's really where the Bulldogs took off, and they haven't looked back. Everybody knew they were pretty good, and I think they're good. What are they going to do when Kentucky comes to town? They put it on Kentucky big time. And they haven't looked back. UK has hopefully learned that lesson. They won out South Carolina. The only saving grace in that whole game down at Athens is that was the same day the football team stunk up the Compass Bowl so bad that maybe that shifted some of the attention over there to how the football team did, took some of the sting out of what the basketball team did.
Now, Darryl, you talk about the basketball players stepping into stuff. I've been doing it my whole career. And you see where it's gotten me. Hey, the chest bump moment for the University of Connecticut. I'm a little surprised, Howie. I really thought you'd go after another opportunity to gig the Wildcats when it was UConn beating Kentucky out in Hawaii. But you say it was the win over Texas.
Yeah, I had to choose a win over a really good team because I think Kentucky's a decent team. They're not really good. I think, truth be told, I could put either one of them on there. I think the win at Texas is huge. Win on a neutral court. Actually, it wasn't really a neutral court because it was packed with UK fans down there in Maui, but that was also a big-time win. Really, you look down through UConn's schedule right now, they have a lot of really good wins. This UConn team is very good.
One of my favorite parts of this show is looking at some of the alumni that have been produced by these particular schools. And Kentucky fans, pay attention. You could be auditioning for American Idol this weekend because the fans in the stands from the University of Georgia include the host of American Idol, Ryan Seacrest, DB.
How about that? Had no idea. Kim Basinger, and then one of the favorites that you would never expect would be from the South, Wayne Knight, Jerry Seinfeld's old nemesis, Newman. Never would dream he would be from the Southern School.
For UConn, the fans in the stands, and now one of these, Howie, I've got to tell you, is a great come from behind from last week when you pitifully crawled in here with Billy Donovan from Providence. You've made up for it, though. We've got Meg Ryan from UConn.
Meg Ryan is a great alum. I mean, that's one of those that you put on the front page of your website if you're Connecticut. Apparently, Providence didn't have any great alums. The best we could come up with was Donovan. But these are two great alums, Meg Ryan and then Horshack. I mean, who doesn't like that guy? I think a lot of people didn't like him, but he's a great alum.
And I found out from Shooter on our crew, who knows absolutely everything, his real name is Ron Palillo.
Palillo, right? How about that?
Ron Palillo. Did not know that. Okay, Darryl says the Bachman difference maker this weekend in this Kentucky game against Georgia is going to be Darius Miller. Miller says, as disappointing as that loss to Georgia was, that setback, he told me, has motivated this team to success more than anything else.
I think it goes along to help with the loss that we had. I think we kind of changed our mindset and kind of refocused us, rededicated us. So I think it was more so the loss that had happened that instead of everything else.
Yeah, I think Darius is the difference maker because he's had 4 really good games in a row since the Georgia game, and we need to see that continue. And if he plays really well at Rupp Arena, they'll take out Georgia. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
Now, you would think if Kentucky was motivated by that loss to Georgia, then Georgia would be motivated this week by their loss to Florida in double overtime. Is that a wounded Bulldog coming in, or is it a one that's going to be, say, looking for some revenge on Kentucky's side of it?
I don't think they'll be looking for revenge. That's going to be all UK's job. Georgia is just, they're like everybody else. They're in the middle of it. The problem for them, losing at home, you've got to protect home serve. And you lose in double overtime. It's hard to be critical of that against the team that was supposed to win the East preseason. So they're just going to kind of lick the wounds and try to get back together and try to get themselves recovered from that in time to come into Lexington. But, I mean, they've got an awfully tall order trying to play Kentucky at Rupp Arena with a fan base that knows, hey, you embarrassed our Cats about 2 weeks ago. We want a little bit back.
Coming up next, Howie says instead of the Big East expanding, they need to contract by one team. He'll tell us which team needs to get the boot when we come back. But before we head to the break, Howie, how do we get a subscription to the Louisville Sports Report?
Thank you for the opportunity. The best way is to give us a call at 502-636-4330. This week, we've got a little play on words. Out of the fryer pan, back into the fire. That's because Louisville's 7 out of the next 8 opponents were ranked at the time of the cover. Order Louisville Sports Report today.